Hello everybody, I'm Nerdomas and welcome back to the channel. So today we are building a computer.
But if you close your eyes,
I'm upgrading my PC, so yeah, let me show this. This is the case I'm going to be using, the Fractal Define R6. It's an awesome case, and yeah, you guys are sitting on the CPU right now, so let me quickly switch camera view. And we are back. So here is what you need. You will need a screwdriver. In this case I've got my iFixit toolkit. You will need an anti-static wrist wrap. Always very important to use that, trust me. I've got my case here. So this is the motherboard I went for, the Asus Prime B350 Plus. The Ryzen 7 1700 Non-X, because it has the stock cooler on it. Then we've got some juicy Corsair Vengeance LPX DDR4 memory, 16 gigs, 3000 MHz. And we've got a cat assistant apparently. Just saying, do not have a cat near computer components when you are building a PC. I'm gonna put him off the table so that I can work freely here. And these are my hard drives. 600 watt age-old Cooler Master power supply. Yeah, this here is all old stuff that came out of my previous PC. So this is a Gigabyte 1050 Ti, my last upgrade. So let's get started by unboxing this little puppy. It's the motherboard, so here we go. This is the beauty herself and all the glory of motherboardiness. You've got some M.2 screws, a nice little I/O shield. You've got the user guide, which might be useful if this is your first time building a PC. Installation CD, just throw that away, the drivers. This is the quick start guide. I'm not gonna need it because I know how to build a PC. I've built my first PC and I've built a few PCs, or well, many PCs at my internship. So you cannot see this on camera right now, but I'm throwing away some of the paper or cardboard. Next up, Corsair Vengeance RAM. So this is just very basic, but here I've got my unboxing knife, so I'll make sure to get it right in there to cut it. Always cut away from yourself. And here you go. Oh, so yeah, keep that in the plastic carrying case for now. That box goes away as well. And here's the big part of the, well, not as big as the case, but here's the grand daddy, the CPU. So yeah, here you go. This is the actual CPU itself with the sticker, always necessary. That's an extra 20 FPS right there. You've got the cooler with its RGB greatness, because this is the 1700. This ring here is RGB, so yeah, that's awesome. Anyways, that was the unboxing part. Well, apart from the case, but for the case I'm going to have to switch camera angles again. Okay, so I forgot to show you all me taking the case out of the box and putting it up here, but let's just do a quick look around the case. So the beautiful tempered glass side panel that's slightly tinted. Then you've got here the door hinge, which it triggers me that this opens the wrong way. It's just, it should open that way, to be honest. But hey, luckily you can change that. And I definitely will change that. But in all honesty, I'm probably not gonna need this a lot because I do have a DVD drive, but I'm not installing it in this computer. So here you have the new module vent thing that they revamped, and here this is super nice for doing any kind of water cooling. This is a fill port, and you have up to three 120mm fans, I believe, or 4. No, it's up to 4 120mm fans in the top here, so that's awesome. So let me just put this back in there, and then we'll resume. Now that you have the case out of the box, you can put this packaging back in the box, and always make sure to keep this packaging. I put the packaging for the RAM in there already, so always make sure to keep the packaging in case you need to return something or RMA something. Now for the tempered glass front panel, I'm going to actually put you all down at a bit of an angle so that you can maybe see a bit while I take it off, and always put it in the box. You do not want this to get damaged. According to the manual, you just pop it off like that. Always make sure to, if you are fixing a PC or anything, and even if you are building, always make sure to put the thumb screws back in the case. And if it's a new case, do not worry about getting fingerprints on the inside of the tempered glass panel, as long as it still has the protective film on it. But do worry if you are doing a repair. And well, I guess this case is cat approved. Cats, they always make things more interesting. But I do appreciate that Fractal chose to use a more normal locking mechanism for their tempered glass panels, because usually they are just stuck on there with, well, some of these screws on the front side of the panel. And if you do that, like, I have seen people that have dropped the tempered glass from a case because of the way that it was mounted. But with this, it's just, it mounts like a fairly normal side panel system. Oh yeah, and one of the reasons I went for this case, this is a fan hub that's built in. It has some really nice cable management options, which makes it so that you do not need to buy a bajillion tie wraps or zip ties, whatever you want to call them. So this is always a box with the little screws for the case. In my case, I'm going to put it in this because this is the best I can do to not lose it. And yeah, I'm probably going to have to screw in my hard drives in these mounts, so that wouldn't be a big problem anyways. So let me just get some of this stuff together and out of the way so that I can put other things into the case. So I'll be right back. We are again. In the meantime, I did do the tiniest bit of cable management. I don't think you can see that, but I just managed to, well, put the fan cables out of the way and make it look a bit neat. So that's the goal for today, making it look neat but not going over the top cable management. That's something for when I get my power supply. Anyways, let's get to the important parts. Putting together the motherboard, CPU and RAM. Also, very kind of Fractal to provide some zip ties. So 6 zip ties. That should be plenty, in my humble opinion. Oh, and see, I forgot to put these back. Also very nice of Fractal Design is they put in some extra of these little thumb screws, just because they know people lose them a lot. But hey, you know, that ain't half bad. It's actually really nice that they do that. Most cases do not come with extra thumb screws, so that's a big plus. Because I've lost those myself quite a bit. So now I'm going to see if I can use my case as a bit of a stand to have a better view of the process of me putting the motherboard or the CPU and RAM and stuff in. So first of all, you want to do this on the anti-static bag of the that the motherboard came in. Also, quick side note, awesome of Fractal to provide a little cleaning cloth. You are going to need that with a tempered glass side panel. So here is the CPU itself. You do get a bit of a leaflet with it. Just drop that. And I am probably going to use this sticker, you know, just because I got it. Right, so I'm probably going to have to do a close-up on this, but oh, this is the CPU. You see this little triangle? You want to match that up with this little triangle right here. Because if you do not match those up, it's not gonna work. That's just a quick tip. And Jesus, so many cat distractions today. Okay, so I have 2 sticks of memory, so I need 2 4. Previously with AMD it was 1 3. So do not get that mixed up. Your PC will not boot into the OS, or even, I don't even think that it will boot to the BIOS if you do not do that. And sorry, my cat just decided to interrupt. So with the RAM, always make sure that you have the correct order. For AMD Ryzen, if you have 2 RAM sticks, which I do, you want to put them in 2 4. Same goes for Intel. With older Ryzen or AMD chips, you should go with 1 3, but always, if you are not sure about the order of your memory, check your motherboard manual. It's always in there, and it will tell you where to put the RAM. So, and in order to install the RAM, as you can see here, this case, the RAM has a little bit of a sticker on the Vengeance LPX logo. Just peel that off, because it's you're not gonna get it off if, or yeah, you're not going to take it off if it's already in the PC. Take those stickers off and you just slide them in. Make sure that it's in both sides, and then you press down on both. That's how easy it is to install the RAM. If you have a stock cooler, I would always advise to install the cooler before you put it into the case. That makes it a lot easier to manage. Okay, so normally it shouldn't be this difficult to get one of these screws out. That's not good. You saw how easy those other 2 went? Yeah, this is not supposed to happen. This is a stock cooler. Always make sure that you have thermal paste on there. Sometimes it might not come with the cooler, especially if you buy a used board. Always check. Oh, and always make sure that you put the CPU fan onto the CPU fan header. Otherwise you will get an error when loading the BIOS or the OS, because it doesn't recognize the CPU cooler as being there. Yeah, in order to cable manage this, like, that's a bit difficult. I want the text to all be facing the same way, and yeah, in this case that's a bit of a problem. Normally I would put it the other way around, but yeah, that's just because it is the stock cooler that happens. And when you put on a cooler, make sure that you do not use too much force. People have cracked their motherboards because they used excessive force when mounting a CPU cooler. So just be careful, don't over tighten it. Especially with these AMD coolers, like you will know when you have it on there. So it's in, and now you will feel that it has a stop, a hard stop in there. Don't over tighten it. So in this case, as I said, this has a RGB lead, and I'm going to install it just because I like RGB. Okay, don't judge me. It'll be the only RGB thing in my case, but any RGB is better than no RGB. Okay, so I'm sorry if my face is in the way. Here's one thing I'm going to show you up close and personal. So here on the motherboard, I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can see that. So there you see a plus 12 volt and then GRB here. And on the connector itself, you'll see a arrow. That arrow has to go on the 12 volt. Otherwise you are going to fry, well, that specific header or your RGB lead, and you do not want that. Especially in this case because this board only has one RGB header. Also make sure that when you put on the RGB, again, do not use excessive force. It might need a bit of force to get it in there. But if you feel that you have to push a lot, try and reseat it. This is a bit of a mess to cable manage. So I'm going to figure out how to manage this little lead and then I'll be back with you. I'm sorry for the camera angle, but right now we are going to start installing the motherboard in here. This is also the moment where you want to start wearing your anti-static wrist wrap. Yeah, on the motherboard you didn't really have any good places to clamp it down to protect it from anti-static discharge. But right now you do, so I'm just quickly installing my wrist rest. As long as you have it touching skin, you will not be putting your components in danger of being getting electrostatic discharge. So this is always a problem with these motherboard, with these I/O shields, is that some of those pins you might have to bend up on the I/O shield, like here. You do not want these to get stuck in the thing itself, like the USB header or whatever, because that could be really bad. In this case they have an extra motherboard standoff, so I'm going to use this to test which one of the screws is the correct screw for the motherboard, because I do not want to use the wrong screw. If you do, that wouldn't be so good for your motherboard standoffs or your motherboard itself. So if you can hand tighten the screw to where it goes in all the way and it doesn't fall out, then you know you've got the correct screw for the motherboard. And if your motherboard does not have these standoffs pre-installed, it's easier if your motherboard does not have any extra standoffs. Make sure to test it out before you put it into the case. And looks like this motherboard has a bit of a weird form factor, because it is ATX, but it's not a full width of ATX. Doesn't matter, you can still use it in here, it's no problem. And I'm not gonna take out the motherboard standoffs here, mainly because they are already and they are not making contact with any circuitry components, so there's no danger in keeping them in. And it does give this a bit more support here. Here's one thing that I will say that most people are or get scared of when they build a PC, and that's, how do I know that I put X connector in correctly? Well, besides with the front I/O connectors, which those you do have to manually install right here. I think this is for the front panel, yeah. On this motherboard it's right here. So, but generally most motherboards use the same position, but always just check your motherboard manual yeah, to find the correct position for the little connectors there. So that's all that's to installing your CPU or your motherboard into your case. And well, it's not gonna win any prizes for best cable management so far, but hey, it's the best I can do with this cooler and this lead for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and install these cables, because here you can see this is the USB 3.0, but you can see here there's a little notch on here and a little notch on the connector, so you cannot put this in the wrong way. So same goes for these fans. So here you see you have that little notch and you cannot put that on the wrong way. So I'm gonna install those cables. That's a boring thing you don't want to see probably. I'm going to also cut this video down so that it's a bit more enjoyable. So I'll be back with the next thing we are going to do. Okay, so now to install the hard drives and the caddies. So in this case I have to check. In this case the hard drive caddies were already pre-configured for the 3.5 inch or 3/4 inch full-size hard drives. If you have a SSD, you can see these are the mounts for an SSD, as well as there are two SSD specific mounts here. Also, don't pay attention to my dog making a lot of noise. So in this case, you know, it's got some special screws for the hard drive cages, and I do think this is a similar system to what NZXT uses with the H440, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that. So I'm just putting in the screws here. Something you might be asking yourself, why do I have two hard drives and no SSD? Well, I haven't had a chance to upgrade to an SSD, and the motherboard and CPU was more important for me this time around. So, and I needed a lot more storage. I have 3 terabytes and a 1 terabyte hard drive. So, and this is also something that's really nice about motherboards. Usually they provide you with 2 SATA cables. So this case, I do not have to reuse my old SATA cables from my old build. Granted, you're not going to see a lot of the cables, but it does make it look a bit neater, because these are all black and the other ones were black with a white accent on the connector. So the connector was white, and yeah, it didn't look that great, but that's the hard drives in. I'm gonna show you how to install the SATA cables. So let me just quickly pull those out of the packaging. So my tip is, if you have like this guy, a right angled SATA cable, put the right angle on the most bottom drive, and this one up the top drive, or any of the drives above if you have more. So that way we already have SATA cables connected to the drives. Now we only need to connect them to the motherboard. So let me just pause the recording here, and then we'll pick up from the motherboard side of things. Down here, because it looks a lot neater, tighter, and it allows me to manage the cables a bit better using fewer tie wraps or cable ties, zip ties, whatever you want to call them. But it allows me to make this look a lot cleaner. Like, as you can see, it's not like show status, but it's cleaner than some PCs I've seen. So, and otherwise I would have them here You cannot really see that there. Otherwise I would have had them here and go there, which also wouldn't have looked bad, but this looks better in my opinion, and this is my build, so I'm gonna do it the way I want to. So let me figure out what I'm going to do next, and then we'll continue from there. Okay, so now we are going to install the graphics card right here, this little baby. It's a Gigabyte GTX 1050 Ti. I'm sorry if I already said that. Okay, right, so I need to actually put one of these back and then remove the one next to the other one, because I made a mistake. I chose the wrong, well, I didn't make a mistake, but it's just trial and error. And in order to install your video card, I mean, it's really easy. You just put it in like that, making sure that it is in the slot by pressing down on it a bit, checking, yes it is, and then you put the screw back in. And right now we've got all our components installed into the PC. Also, just make sure to save these in case you need them later. For instance, if you are selling on the PC, or just a case, which I'm not going to do, but I always save those anyways. So regardless, this is a completed PC, apart from one thing, and that's the thing I always save till last, the power supply. So let's just get the power supply done and installed, and then I can finally start using my new PC, and I'll run some benchmarks, you know, and everything. I'll do a bit of a review, but that won't be in this video. This video is already going far too long, so I'll be right back. I moved this bracket from the case. This is the bracket to mount on the power supply, to be able to mount the power supply into the case. And most often cases will provide these power supply screws. Very useful if, like me, you're upgrading a PC and you need to leave the power supply screws there in order to be able to resell the case and maybe build a new system in the old case, you know. Anywho, so I'm gonna screw this in. It's not difficult. You just line up the screw holes in here with the ones in here, and then Bob's your uncle. So I'll do that, mount it in the case, and then I'll show you, well, I guess how I am going to run the power cables in the PC. So I'll be back in a minute, or a second, well, less than a second for you, and a little bit of time for me. Hey YouTube, so I'm back. I finished the PC here. I'm gonna give you some b-roll of that. Sorry, I just hit my desk. I got this lav mic that I found somewhere from, I don't know why I have it. Anyways, I had it, so I'm gonna try this out. Notice in editing the audio from my phone, it's good, but it's decent, but it's not good. So I'm gonna see if this is better. Also, Rappin' Team Trivium went to their concert yesterday, so if you want to hear more about that, let me know in the comment section. So yeah, was an epic show. Awesome. Right now I'm running Unigine Heaven. A little bit of screen tearing, mainly because it's, I mean, I've got Heaven maxed, so it's running about 30 FPS, which is pretty decent for a little 1050 Ti. So yeah, I'm gonna take off this side panel. Oh, and one thing I forgot, sorry, but I'm gonna show you which connectors go where on the motherboard in terms of the power connectors from the PSU, because didn't get to record that part, forgot, sorry. Next time I'll do better. I'm gonna crack this case open, show you which power cables go where. It's self-explanatory, but for those of you who are absolutely new to PC building, who want to know exactly which cables go where, I'm gonna show you, so don't worry. Nerdon has got you covered. So yeah, I'm gonna do that, and then after that I'm gonna shoot some B-roll of this beautiful computer. Then I'm gonna get this into editing and get it up as soon as possible for you guys. This video has been way too long in the making. Okay, so yeah, this is the business or the PC. So this is a 8-pin EPS power connector. In this case it's, or in this motherboard it's sideways. Doesn't matter. It's different from this connector, which is a 6+2 pin. Some video cards might require an 8-pin power connector like this. Some might even require more. Some might require 6 like this card does. So yeah, this is the SATA cable. I already showed that. USB 3.0, USB 1, and from or HD audio from panel audio. That goes there. Anyways, and in this, for this specific GTX 1050 Ti, it does have this cable. Some don't. And oh, here, this is the 24-pin power connector. You might have a 20-pin connector on the motherboard, which in that case, this little block up here of 4 pins, those fall away. You can just wire those any other way. And then just to show you, this is what a SATA power cable or connector looks like, and that's what goes into the hard drives. Otherwise they ain't gonna be spinning. Great rest of your day. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever. Also, if you want some story time with the concert and maybe some snippets of the concert that I managed to record, let me know. Tell me in the comment section. And yeah, video with benchmark results. That's something I'm gonna do after this video airs and after I get maybe some more videos recorded. See y'all in the next video, I guess.